Hello students, welcome to Math Made Easy Hybrid Tutorials with Teacher Brenda. In today's lesson, we are going to learn how to calculate the mode. Now, the mode is the one that you see most often. Okay, so how can we remember this? Literally, you can actually use a rhyme to help you remember. So you remember from the previous lesson, we had one for median. So now we go on to the mode. So hey diddle diddle, the median's the middle. You add then divide for the mean. The mode is the one you see the most, and the range is the difference between. So in this lesson, you can easily remember this median as the one that you see the most. Or in other words, most often. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. Here, look at the hair colors of this group of people. Now, you could divide them. Which color do you see most often? So can you see literally there's one color that's like really often that most of them have? So that's what? What would that color be? Would it be the blonde? Now this is blonde, okay? Would it be the browns? Okay, you could argue that this looks like black, but let's say that for the discussion's sake, that all these are shades of brown. Okay, shades of brown. So ginger would be this. This is the color if it's ginger. So now telling. Telling is something that you learned in standard 3. It is a way of marking or counting in groups of 5. So if you remember, tally goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how you do a tally. The fifth line is a horizontal line that cuts across the first 4. So with that, we can start telling for the blonde, and that's just 1 blonde, 4 for the browns, and only 1 for the ginger. So in this case, which hair color do you see most often? That's right. The mode is the one that you see most often. Now, a lot of students may make the mistake of saying that the mode is 4. Now, that's wrong. The mode is not 4. The mode is brown. Now, in order for us to avoid making such a mistake, I want you to learn this word called frequency. Okay, frequency comes from the word frequent. It's like how often you do something. For example, how often do you go to the toilet? How often do you drink water every day? So how frequent do you go? Do you drink water? How frequent do you use the washroom? So frequency comes from the word frequent, which means often. In other words, I could add in just this word frequency and then put in the data. How many times how many times do we have blonde hair? Only once. How many times do we have for brown hair? And that's 4 people. And how many for ginger? It's 1. So in order to remember mode, you can also remember it as the number or the data. This is your data, okay? This is your data with the highest frequency. That's it, okay? The one with the highest frequency. Now, in this case, the highest frequency here is 4, so the data belongs to brown. Now, that kind of understanding will also help you to figure out the mode easily. Now, first of all, you must also understand that there can be situations in which there are more than one mode or no mode. So let's look at some examples, okay? Have a look at these pictures. In the first picture, there's, I think, a group of beads. So figure out which color is the mode. Which color of the bead is the mode? So I'm not asking how many, I'm asking which color. So if you can see from this picture, we have a few colors. Let's start. Let's start with maybe the yellow. Okay, how many yellows do we have? So the frequency is 2. Okay, how many reds do we have? Red is 3. There are 3 red balls or beads. Green. How many greens do we have? 1. How many blues do we have? 1. Then there is like, I think, orange and brown. So every one of this is just 1 and 1 and 1. So obviously you can see that the most often color, the highest number of balls repeated in the same color is 3, which belongs to red. So red is the mode, not 3. Ready? Let's go to this question on the cars. Which color of the car is the mode? Now I look at this as maybe silver, maybe gray, silver. Okay, so how many silvers do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, silver seems to be having like the highest frequency. Am I right? The frequency of silver is 5. Now let's go for other colors. The blue. Okay. Now if it's the light blue, yeah, there's only one light blue. And if it's the dark blue, then we have 2 dark blues. And then what else do we have? We have yellow. We have 3 yellows. Okay. And then we have 2 reds. Still cannot beat the 5 silvers. So then we have 2 blacks. So the highest frequency here, the color that's happening the most often is silver. Okay. Next. Which sort of cupcake is the mode? Look at all these cupcakes. There are 2 chocolates, 2, I probably think it's a strawberry, maybe this is banana and this is blueberry. So every flavor here, you're going to get just 2 cupcakes for every flavor. So for the blueberry, you're going to get 2. For the, probably it's the banana flavor, you're going to get again another 2. For strawberry, you getting 2. And for chocolate flavor muffin, you're getting 2. Over here, the frequency is all the same. There is no highest value. So that's why sometimes there can be no mode. And when you say no mode, don't say 0 mode. Because when you say the mode is 0, you are telling that there is a mode, that the value there is 0. So don't use the word or don't use the number 0. Instead, just say no mode. That's all. Now, over here, which color of the book is the mode? Now, looking at it, you can see blue, there's only one. Red, there's only one. Cream color, okay, pastel color here was only one. Orange one, pink one, yellow one, brown one. But we see 2 greens and 2 grays. So we have green and we have gray equally happening more than the rest and the same. So it's in this case that we have 2 modes. The 2 modes are green and gray. Okay? So this is an example of what we call as data, okay, where you have examples of questions with no mode and questions with more than one mode. Now let's look at this set of numbers down here. Now before we enter or before we do these questions, I want you to look carefully at all these questions on top with the pictures and these questions at the bottom. Do you see a difference? These questions are all in numerical form. That means the data is in the form of numbers. The data itself is in the form of numbers. That's when we call it numerical data. Okay? However, you look at the data on top here. They are not numbers. So we call them non-numerical data. So sometimes you get data like this. Sometimes you get data in number form. So you have to know the difference. Okay, and also be able to still find what is the mode. Now look at this. Excuse me. There's 5, there's 4, there's 3, and there is again another 5. So if I'm going to do a table, a frequency table, I'll start with the digit 3. This is my data. Okay, and this is my frequency. Okay, so for the digit 3, the frequency is only 1. Only one time it repeats itself. For the digit 4, the frequency is also once, only one. For digit 5, well, it repeats itself 2 times. So here you see the idea of frequency. The highest frequency belongs to the data 5. So the mode here is 5. All right? Now look at this data. Pretty much a lot. So what we need to do? We need to arrange them in a table, which will help us. Okay, so one would be the data and the other one would be the frequency. When you know what's the frequency, it's easier for you not to get confused. So let's start with the data. What data do we have? What's the smallest value here, guys? You can see it's a 0, right? So for the data of 0, how many zeros are there? 1, 2. So the frequency is 2. For the data after 0, we go up to 1, but there's no 1 here. So we'll go to 2. So we'll go to the data 2. And how many 2's do we have? We have only 1, 2. Then we'll go to the data 3. So 3. Okay, now we go to 3. And how many 3's do we have? Cut 1, 2, 3. We have 3 3's. Now we'll go to 4, but there's no 4. Then we'll go to 5. So data 5. How many 5's do we have? Only 1 5. There's no 6. And then we'll go to 7. So how many 7's do we have? 1, 2, 3. There's 3 7's. And then finally to data 8, and there's just 1. So do not get confused with mode being the highest data. That's wrong. Okay? No, mode being the highest frequency. No. You use the highest frequency to find the mode in the data. So in this case here, we have 3 as the highest frequency, another 3 as the highest frequency, but the data belongs to the number 3 and number 7. And that's going to be the mode. So the answer here for this question, we have 2 modes, which is 3 and 7. Okay? So you see, guys, what I'm doing all the time is I'm building up this data frequency table, the data frequency table, which will be helpful in us to find the mode, which is the number with the highest frequency, the data with the highest frequency. Now let's look at this data here. So I'm going to clear all this. We have 2, 7, 4, 2, 7, 5, 3, 2, 6, 8. Pretty confusing, but if you want to try, we're doing without the frequency table, then you'll have to be very careful. So how many 2's do we have? We have 2 2's. Oh, 3 2's. Okay. How many 7's do we have? 1, 2 only. The 4 is pretty single. 5 is single. 3 is single. 6 is single. 8 is single. So we have 2 happening the most. If you can figure this out visually by just looking at it, good enough. Fine. But if you can't, then I'd advise you to build up the table. Okay? Now look at this last set of data. Do we need to build a table? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Literally no number repeats itself. So do we say 0 mode or do we say no mode? Which would be the choice? The choice is no mode. Okay, you don't use 0 mode because 0 mode means 0 is the mode. Like in this question, 0 could be a mode if you have a lot of zeros. So be careful of this small minor, slight minor words and numbers that you use. Okay, if you understand, then you will not have these problems. So now let's see, I think. Yeah, then we're checking all the answers. So no mode. Now, one final question here. Okay. Now let's find the mode here for the number of goals scored and the frequency. Now, what does this data tell us? It tells us that, say, in a game of football, okay, 5 players attempted to kick. Okay, 5 players attempted to hit a goal, but no goal was scored. That's what the 0 means. 2 players attempted to kick the ball in to score a goal and 1 goal was scored. 2 players scored 1 goal. 7 players managed to score 2 goals. No players scored 3 goals and 1 player scored 4 goals. You see that? So now I've given you the goals and the frequency. So now how do I find the mode? Now, bear with me. Model value, the word model value also means the mode, but it means the data is numerical. That's all. If the data is pretty much like pictures like this, they'll just say mode, okay? But if they give you a frequency table like this, they'll just use the word model value. But I think in your case, you can just be safe with the word mode, okay? All right, we'll just go with mode. So remember what I told you about mode, guys? To find the one with the highest frequency, which is right here. So is 7 the mode? Or is 4 the mode? Or is 2 the mode? Which is the mode? So you see, 7 is the frequency, the highest frequency. 4 is just a data, it's just another data. This is not the mode. To find the mode, you look at the number with the highest frequency, the data with the highest frequency. So from here, you look back at this. 2 is the mode. Now, if I want to break this data, and that's important, you must know how to break it up. In other words, before this frequency table was built, how did the data look like? So let's build it up. 0, 5 people, which means 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. There were 5 zeros in the data. How many ones were there? There were 2 ones. So 1, 1. See that? How many sevens? How many people scored 2 goals? 7 people. So 2 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals. Did that get 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right. Nobody scored 3 goals, so no need to write 3. If I write 3, that means one person scored 3 goals. So don't do that. Be careful. And we have one person who scored 4 goals. So 4 was scored by one person. This is what we call as the raw data. So remember, in the previous example, I gave you the raw data and I showed you how we built this table up. Now, given the table, you should be able to break it back into raw data. So this is an important skill that you need to learn when you're finding the mode. Now, obviously, you can see from here, 2 is the mode because it repeats itself the most. And if you look at the frequency table, it's just very easy to identify. Look at the number with the highest frequency, refer to the data. Okay? So now, with that, reflection. What have you learned in today's lesson? What do you understand by mode? Can we have the important takeaway is mode means the most often data. Okay? And of course, you can use the rhyme to help you remember. Now, mode is the only average where sometimes you have one value, you have an answer. Sometimes you have more than one value. You can have 2 or 3 modes or so. And sometimes you can have no mode. So this kind of probabilities can happen when you are calculating mode. However, if you're going to calculate mean or median, which are the other 2 averages, you will not have this possibility. There will only be one specific answer for mean and one specific answer for median. But for mode, you can have one specific answer, you can have more than one mode, or you can have no mode. This would be the most important summary from understanding what is all about the mode. Thank you. Have a good day.